You know, sometimes I think about how strange it is that we can send messages into the future. We do it every day, through our words, our work, the things we build, the choices we make. Every action leaves a trace, a small signal for someone out there to discover one day. And tonight, that's what this is. A message across time. A message to someone I haven't met yet. Someone who I hope will one day see this and understand exactly what I meant when I said, I was thinking of you long before I ever knew your name. Right now, I'm standing here not as the man I'll be when we finally meet, but as the man I am, unfinished, curious, a little chaotic, but driven by something bigger than myself. I don't have all the answers. In fact, I think that's what makes this moment honest. Because the truth is, the world changes so fast that even the idea of love can feel like trying to hold on to light. But still, I believe in it. I believe in the possibility of two people finding each other not by luck, but by alignment, like two satellites finally falling into the same orbit after years of drifting through space. This message isn't about longing or desperation. It's about intention. It's about knowing that somewhere out there, there's someone whose frequency matches mine, someone who dreams big, who fails boldly, who laughs at the chaos of life and still chooses to believe in people. I'm not trying to impress you with who I am today. I'm just trying to be transparent about where I'm standing at this exact point in time. Building, learning, breaking, rebuilding. I'm not waiting for you to complete me. I'm building a life so full and meaningful that when you arrive, you'll simply amplify it. Maybe by the time you hear this, the world will look completely different. Maybe technology will have reshaped how we love, how we connect, how we communicate. Maybe this speech will feel like a relic from another era, a digital love letter carved into the noise of the internet. But that's the beauty of this message. It's not just for you. It's for anyone who still believes that love isn't outdated. That even in an age of algorithms and artificial intelligence, the most human thing we can do is care deeply, honestly, without guarantees. I imagine you watching this someday, not in a romantic way, but in a real way. Maybe you'll be curious about who I was before we met. Maybe you'll smile at how novel I sound. Or maybe you'll recognize a piece of yourself in these words. The same restless search for something authentic. I hope you see that this message isn't about perfection, it's about process. It's about acknowledging that before I could love someone else, I had to learn to understand myself, my flaws, my limits, my purpose. Sometimes I wonder if love is less about finding the right person and more about becoming the right person. Becoming the kind of human who attracts not through appearance or status, but through energy, through vision, through shared values. If that's true, then maybe this message is less a love letter and more a progress report, a timestamp in my evolution, a record of a man learning to balance ambition with empathy, intellect with emotion, progress with patience. I don't know where you are right now. Maybe you're out there, building something of your own, chasing your own impossible dream, learning your own lessons. But I hope when our paths do cross, you'll know that I was already reaching for you through time. I was already working to become someone worthy of your trust, your respect, your partnership. Because love, at its best, isn't found, it's built. It's constructed with intention, sustained with effort, and protected with courage. So, if you're hearing this one day, in some future I can't see, I want you to know that this moment, this message, was written for you long before we met. It's a reminder that the universe rewards those who keep believing, who keep building, who keep showing up. And maybe, just maybe, everything I've done until now has been a quiet preparation for the day I finally look in your eyes and realize you were the destination all along. If you really want to know who I am today, the simplest answer is that I'm a work in progress. I'm not the finished version of the man you'll eventually meet. I'm still building not just companies or ideas, but character, discipline, perspective. I've learned that success isn't about reaching some final destination. It's about the constant act of refining who you are day after day through failure, through curiosity, through relentless pursuit. And that's where I'm standing right now, somewhere between ambition and self-awareness, between the person I was and the person I'm becoming. I wake up each day driven by questions more than answers. What can I learn? What can I create that actually matters? How can I leave the world, even in the smallest way, a bit better than I found it? And beneath all of that, there's this quiet belief that life isn't about perfection, it's about direction. I've failed more times than I can count, and I wear those failures like fingerprints. They're proof that I've tried, that I've stretched beyond comfort, that I've risked enough to grow. That's who I am today. Someone who's failed forward, who's been humbled by experience but still dares to dream bigger. But beyond the ambition, there's also a softer side I'm learning to embrace. The part that understands that intellect without empathy is hollow, that progress without presence means nothing. I used to think strength was about never bending. Now I realize it's about staying grounded even when everything around you is shifting. I've learned that patience is power. That silence can say more than noise, and that humility isn't weakness, it's wisdom in disguise. You see, I wasn't always like this. I used to chase results without reflection, goals without gratitude. I thought that if I could just achieve enough, I'd find peace. But peace doesn't come from achievement, it comes from alignment. It comes from being able to look at your reflection and say, I'm not perfect, but I'm honest. That's what I'm learning to be. Honest with myself, with others, with the world. I'm at a point in life where I understand that legacy isn't what people say about you when you're gone. It's what people feel when you're present. It's the energy you bring into a room, the ideas you share that outlive the conversation, the way you make others believe they can do more. And I hope when you finally meet me, you'll see that I've spent these years not just trying to build a future, but to build myself into someone capable of sustaining one. There are nights when I question everything, the path, the purpose, the pace. I ask myself if I'm becoming too mechanical, too focused on what's next instead of what's now. And in those moments, I remind myself that humanity must stay at the center of everything I do. Technology evolves, industries transform, but emotion, connection, love, those are constants. They're the foundation of everything meaningful. And that's what grounds me. That's what reminds me that no matter how far we go as a species, the real revolution is still compassion. Who I am today is someone learning to balance vision with vulnerability. I can talk about rockets and innovation, but what really matters is inner propulsion, the quiet force that keeps you moving when no one's watching. I'm fueled by purpose, but I'm powered by people. By the idea that every human being I encounter, including you, my future partner, carries a story that deserves to be heard. I don't want to just build things that last. I want to build connections that do. I've come to realize that the best version of me isn't the one who achieves the most, but the one who inspires the most, the one who can lead without ego, love without fear, and dream without limits. That's the version I'm working toward. So when you meet me one day, know that I'll still be learning, still improving, still questioning, but always with intention, always with heart. Because who I am today isn't defined by what I have or what I've done. It's defined by what I'm willing to become. For myself, for the world, and for you. And if there's one thing I can promise, it's this. I'll never stop evolving until the man I am finally aligns with the love I've been preparing for all along. Love, to me, is one of those things that refuses to fit neatly into a definition. It's not a formula you can solve, not a technology you can engineer. It's closer to gravity, invisible, yet powerful enough to hold everything together. It's the quiet force that gives meaning to all the chaos, the reason behind every risk worth taking. When I think about love, I don't imagine perfection, I imagine persistence. Two people choosing every single day to move in the same direction, even when the winds shift. For a long time, I misunderstood love. I thought it was about finding someone who could understand me completely. Someone who saw the world exactly as I did. But love isn't about sameness, it's about synchronization. It's two distinct minds, two separate worlds, learning how to orbit around a shared center without losing their own identity. The beauty of it lies in the balance between freedom and connection, between individuality and unity. Love, to me, isn't something that just happens. It's something that's built like a spacecraft or a dream. It requires design, maintenance, constant recalibration. It demands patience and forgiveness because no system runs without friction. And when there's turbulence, it's not a sign to abandon the mission, but to realign the course. The truth is, love isn't just an emotion, it's an act of engineering of the soul. It's how two people learn to construct something bigger than themselves, something that endures. Real love is quiet. It doesn't always announce itself with fireworks or grand gestures. Sometimes it's just the way someone listens when you're lost in your thoughts, or the way they believe in you when you've stopped believing in yourself. It's the silence between arguments, the laughter that follows, the shared understanding that no disagreement is greater than the connection you've built. It's in the ordinary moments, the late night talks, the tired smiles, the way you both keep showing up even when it's not easy. That's the kind of love I believe in. The kind that stays. I think too many people chase the feeling of love, but not the work of it. The feeling fades. It always does. But the work, the commitment, the decision to stay curious about each other, even after years together, that's where love becomes extraordinary. It's like innovation. You can't rely on the first spark to power the whole journey. You have to keep refining, keep improving, keep choosing. And in that process, love stops being something you fall into and becomes something you build together with intent. Love also requires courage, not the kind that faces external challenges, but the kind that dares to be seen completely. To let someone in past your walls, your history, your insecurities. That's the real risk. You can build rockets to Mars and still find vulnerability to be the most difficult frontier. But that's where love thrives, in the raw, unfiltered spaces where two people are brave enough to be fully human together. And I think love should inspire, not confine. The right partner doesn't limit your vision. They expand it. They remind you that success means nothing if it's not shared, that achievement feels empty without warmth beside it. Love, at its best, doesn't slow you down, it stabilizes you. It becomes the gravity that keeps you steady while you reach for the stars. So, what does love mean to me? It means patience when words fail. It means loyalty when the road gets rough. It means building something that lasts longer than excitement, something that can survive the storms of time and still stand tall. It's not about finding the perfect person. It's about creating the perfect partnership through trust, empathy, and shared purpose. And when I imagine the future, when I imagine you, I don't see a fairy tale. I see a partnership built on respect, curiosity, and a relentless belief in each other. I see two people who understand that love isn't the destination, it's the foundation. Because in the end, everything else, the success, the ideas, the dreams, it all means nothing without someone to share it with. Love, to me, is the ultimate creation. Not something we discover, but something we build and keep building for the rest of our lives. If there's one thing I've learned so far, it's that words matter, but actions define them. So when I think about the promises I want to make to you, they're not built on fantasy or grand declarations. They're grounded in reality, in what it truly takes to love, to grow, and to build something that lasts. I don't want to promise perfection. That would be dishonest. What I can promise is intention, that everything I do, every decision I make, will come from a place of love, respect, and purpose. I promise to never stop learning who you are. People evolve, and love should too. I'll never assume I figured you out, because I don't want to love a version of you frozen in time. I want to love the real, ever-changing, constantly growing you. I'll pay attention to the small things, the quiet details, the unspoken signals that reveal how you're really doing. Because connection isn't about grand gestures, it's about presence, about showing up and staying engaged even when life gets loud. I promise to listen more than I speak, to create a space where you can be fully yourself without judgment, without having to edit your thoughts or hide your emotions. The world is already full of noise. I want to be the silence that makes you feel safe. I want our communication to be honest, not always perfect, not always easy, but always real. Because trust is built in the moments when we choose to listen instead of react, to understand instead of defend. I promise to protect your peace. Life can be chaotic. I know that better than most. There will be moments when the world feels heavy, when the pressure of everything we're building starts to take its toll. In those moments, I don't ever want to add to the weight. I want to be the reason it feels lighter. I'll protect the space we share, the energy between us, as something sacred. Because love doesn't just thrive in joy, it survives in stillness, in empathy, in care. I promise to keep growing. I won't stop evolving just because I've found you. If anything, I'll grow harder. Not to impress you, but to deserve you. To keep becoming the kind of man who brings stability, not control, who brings confidence, not pride. I'll keep working on myself, so I never expect you to carry the parts of me I should be responsible for. Growth isn't optional in love, it's essential, and I promise to never become complacent in that journey. I promise to celebrate you. Your victories, your ideas, your strength, even the things that scare you. I want to be your biggest believer, your calm in the storm, and your loudest supporter when the world underestimates you. Because love isn't about standing in front of each other, it's about standing beside each other. When you win, we both win. And when you fall, I'll be there to remind you that falling isn't failing, it's just another step toward rising higher. I promise to keep the romance alive, even when life gets busy. To dance with you in the kitchen, to write you notes when you least expect them, and to never let the spark that brought us together fade into routine. Love deserves to be nurtured, not assumed. And I want to keep surprising you, not with extravagance, but with effort, with intention, with consistency, and above all, I promise to choose you. Not once, not twice, but every single day. Even when we argue, even when things don't make sense, even when life pulls us in 100 directions, I'll still choose you. Because love isn't a one-time decision. It's a daily commitment. It's showing up again and again, even when it's difficult, even when the excitement fades and all that's left is the quiet work of being there. That's where the real beauty is. So those are my promises, not because they sound good, but because I mean them. Because when I think of you, I don't just think of love as an emotion. I think of it as a responsibility to honor what we have, to nurture it, to protect it. And when that day comes, when we finally stand side by side, I won't promise you the world, but I will promise to build one with you brick by brick, heart by heart, until it's strong enough to last forever. When I think about what I hope you bring into my life, I don't imagine a checklist or a set of expectations. I'm not looking for someone to complete me. I've learned that no one can do that. What I hope for is someone who compliments me, who challenges me, who amplifies the energy and purpose I already have. I want us to be two whole people standing side by side, building something that neither of us could have built alone. I hope you bring balance, the kind that reminds me that life isn't just about acceleration and achievement, but also about stillness and presence. I've spent so much of my time chasing progress, pushing boundaries, testing limits. Sometimes I forget that living isn't only about moving forward. It's also about pausing long enough to appreciate where we are. I hope you're the kind of person who can remind me to look up from the mission once in a while and actually see the stars. Not just study them, not just reach for them, but feel them. I hope you bring curiosity, a mind that never stops asking questions, that challenges ideas, including mine. I want you to feel free to disagree, to debate, to stretch my thinking beyond what I already know. Growth happens in friction, and I want a relationship built on that kind of healthy tension, where we don't just echo each other's thoughts, but expand them. I want someone who's not afraid to dream bigger than me, to push boundaries in her own way, and to remind me that brilliance isn't a competition, it's collaboration. I hope you bring laughter, the kind that cuts through the stress, that breaks the seriousness of a long day, the kind that reminds me that joy is a form of strength, not distraction. There's a certain magic in someone who can find humor in the middle of chaos, who can turn pressure into perspective. I want to be able to laugh with you about our mistakes, about life's absurdities, about the moments that don't go as planned. Because love without laughter becomes too heavy, and I want ours to stay light enough to float even when the world feels heavy. I hope you bring empathy, not just for me, but for the world. I'm drawn to people who care deeply, who see humanity not as a problem to fix, but as something to understand. I want you to feel the weight of other people's struggles, not because your job to solve them, but because compassion is what makes us human. I want to be inspired by your kindness, by the way you treat strangers, by the way you speak about people when they're not in the room, by the way you love without conditions. That kind of energy changes everything. I hope you bring courage, not just in the big, headline-making ways, but in the quiet, daily moments that really matter. The courage to be honest when it's uncomfortable. The courage to forgive, to be vulnerable, to keep loving even after being hurt. Courage to hold on to hope when things feel uncertain. The kind of courage that reminds me that strength isn't about control, it's about faith. I hope you bring passion for life, for your purpose, for whatever sets your soul on fire. I don't want to be your entire world. I want to be part of it. I want you to have dreams that are your own, ideas that excite you, goals that you chase not because anyone expects you to, but because they make you feel alive. I'll be there cheering for you, not in front of you or behind you, but beside you. Because love should never shrink someone's ambition. It should expand it. And maybe most of all, I hope you bring peace. Not the kind that's quiet because everything is perfect, but the kind that exists even when it isn't. The peace that comes from knowing who you are and what you stand for. The peace that makes a house feel like home. Because at the end of it all, I don't need you to bring perfection. I just need you to bring truth. Your truth. Your essence. Your light. I don't want a mirror of myself. I want a force that complements me, that grounds me, that challenges me to evolve. I want a partner who brings not just love into my life, but depth. Someone who doesn't just share the journey, but transforms it. And when that happens, when two complete souls finally meet, it's not about who changes whom. It's about what they build together. Something timeless. Something unstoppable. Something that feels like destiny written in human form. Somewhere out there you exist. You might be living a completely different story right now. Maybe you're chasing your own ambitions, figuring out who you are, or learning to stand on your own 2 feet. Maybe you've loved before and been hurt. Maybe you've built walls around your heart. Or maybe, like me, you've realized that love isn't something to be rushed, that the right connection is worth the wait. Wherever you are, whatever you're doing, I hope you know that I already believe in you, not as an idea, but as a person. Sometimes I think about the strange beauty of time, how it takes 2 lives that are moving independently, spinning in their own directions, and somehow guides them to collide at exactly the right moment. It's humbling when you think about it. Because life isn't a straight path. It's a series of unpredictable intersections. And somewhere down the line, ours will cross. I don't know when or how or under what circumstances, but I know it will happen when it's supposed to. Until then, I'm preparing. Not just for you, but for us. I'm learning to communicate better, to listen more deeply, to slow down when everything tells me to rush. I'm becoming someone who values substance over speed, connection over convenience. I'm shaping my life so that when you step into it, you won't have to fix or complete anything. You'll simply fit. I want to meet you as someone who's whole, not waiting to be saved, but ready to build something extraordinary together. I imagine that when we finally meet, it won't be in some grand cinematic way. It might be simple. A conversation that just feels easy, a look that lingers a bit longer than expected, a silence that feels oddly comfortable. And maybe I won't even realize it at first. Maybe love won't announce itself loudly, it'll just arrive quietly, naturally, the way all real things do. And when it does, I hope we recognize each other, not just with our eyes, but with our energy, like 2 people who have been moving through different constellations and suddenly find themselves under the same sky. Hope we both look at each other and think, there you are. I was wondering when you'd show up. Until that day, I'm not waiting idly. I'm living fully. I'm building, creating, failing, learning, because all of it matters. Every experience, every mistake, every victory is shaping the person I'll be when I finally meet you. And I trust that the same is true for you. Life has its own way of preparing us for what we're meant to hold. Sometimes through joy, sometimes through heartbreak, sometimes through the long, quiet seasons where nothing seems to happen. But it's all part of the design. I want you to know that I don't expect our story to be flawless. There will be days when things feel heavy, when the distance between us, even standing side by side, feels real. But I promise that when that happens, I'll remember this moment. I'll remember how long I waited for you, how much I grew before finding you, and how worth it all of it was. Because love isn't about avoiding the storms. It's about choosing someone you're willing to walk through them with. I like to think that somewhere, maybe at this very moment, you're looking up at the same night sky I am. Maybe you're not thinking about me, and that's okay. Maybe you're just wondering what the future looks like. But I want you to know that the future is already in motion. And it's moving us closer together. Every decision, every dream, every heartbeat is quietly bringing us into alignment. And when it happens, when I finally meet the person who makes all the waiting make sense, I'll know that none of this was random. Every detour, every delay, every unanswered question will find its meaning in that one moment. Because love, real love, doesn't arrive on demand, it arrives on time. So, until we meet, keep growing, keep believing, keep building your world. I'll be out here doing the same. And one day when the universe finally decides it's time, we'll both look back and realize that we weren't waiting after all. We were simply preparing for something extraordinary, something that was always meant to find us.